We've got companies already developing humanoid bots to help with everyday household chores. And although these bots, I think, will be used a lot in areas like aged care facilities, they could also lead to an empathy deficit because machines can't empathize. It's the one thing they can't do. Some people think in government and the police that facial recognition will be the biggest breakthrough in catching criminals since the introduction of DNA. It's a great opportunity for what we call technology creep. And when it's married with AI, which it will be, facial recognition could provide the platform for something like preemptive policing, where supposedly would-be criminals can be identified before any crime's been committed.
I've got Mal Fletcher, who's a futurist from 2030 plus. Now, Mal, let's talk about the new year, 2026. I saw a flying car a few years ago at Expo in Dubai. It wasn't flying, it was just on the ground. So these are a thing, flying taxis and stuff. We just mentioned hoverboards. How futuristic are we going to get in 2026?
Flying cabs have been tested for about 5 years now in countries like Germany, which is not quite there yet with regulations and so on. But one of the big areas this year, Rich, is humanoid robots. We're going to take big steps forward this year. We will see sophisticated AI being merged with, I suppose, anthropomorphized machines, some of them complete with human-like muscle structure and some form of synthetic skin. We've got companies already developing humanoid bots to help with everyday household chores, and they could be very helpful in other areas like retail and customer service up to a point. But there are some big questions, of course. Will we come to view these machines as kind of digital slaves? Will the way we treat these human-like machines change the way we treat our fellow humans, especially in service industries? And although these bots, I think, will be used a lot in areas like aged care facilities, they could also lead to an empathy deficit because machines can't empathize. It's the one thing they can't do. They don't have any shared human experience. So there are going to be a lot of ways in which we can use these humanoid bots, and they'll be quite exciting at first, but we need to also be aware of the challenges.
Humanoid. Okay, so a robot. I've seen robots being used to assemble cars. When does a robot that puts the bit on the side of a Ford Fiesta turn into a humanoid robot then?
Well, essentially, a humanoid robot is the same machine underneath. It's just that it has human-like form. So it has human muscle structure or something akin to that, and it has physical features that resemble a human being, whether it's facially or not. I mean, there's a company recently launched a bot called Neo, which costs $20,000 to buy. It does household chores, and it basically looks like a human being covered head to toe in a felt-like cloth material with a glass face. I don't quite know why you need a humanoid machine to vacuum the floor, but that's where it's headed, and I think they'll become more and more human in appearance over time.
Okay, is anyone else freaked out by this? I am slightly. This is how Terminator started, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, absolutely. And I mean, there is a thing called the uncanny valley effect, which is the fact that when we first come across a human-looking, human-like machine, we can feel quite excited because it's fun, it's novel. But as the machine's capabilities become more and more human-like, we often feel a growing sense of unease. And that uncanny feeling can lead to anxiety and other mental health challenges. So as time goes by, when we get used to them, the level of discomfort can recede. But for some people, I think it will remain and create some problems. So it's an area that's, both exciting, but also potentially challenging.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't want to startle people by saying that's how Terminator started, because obviously it was fiction. Something I did this year is for South Today. I did a report on robots being used in surgery. I use robots loosely because it's still being controlled by a surgeon, but I feel like that's going to see a rise.
Yes, I think in areas like medicine, we will see a lot more involvement from AI-powered robots. There's remote surgery as well, where the surgeon's in one location and the machine is operating in another. So you've still got humans in the loop, but a machine is actually doing the work. At the moment, they're only explored where it comes to sort of what we call lower-end surgical procedures, which are still surgeries. But in time, we might find more complex surgeries too. And one of the things people forget with all of this is that it has to be powered in some way. And all of our use of robotics and AI is going to drive unprecedented demands on the energy grid, because AI models run on powerful computer processors. They are housed in data centers, and they're going to spring up all over the British landscape. We've got one down the road from us here. But these data centers need huge amounts of energy. So by the year 2030, we might see a doubling of our usage of electricity, which is going to raise the costs of electricity. It could create some wonderful opportunities because AI will be so much more part of our lives. But there are some challenges there. I'm not trying to be negative on New Year's Day, but we need to be aware of these things.
Well, of course. And, Slough has a lot of data centres. We're always talking about new data centres springing up. I don't think anyone actually knows what a data centre is, though. But this is the capacity for AI. It's even just streaming from Netflix. You need a data centre for that, don't you?
Yeah, a data center is just basically the place where the computer networks that you rely on for AI and streaming and other things are housed. So the one down the road from us, I thought it was a prison when it was being built because it's just, lots of high fences with spiky things on the top of the fences. And then you've got these huge buildings with lots of air conditioning ducts. But because there were no windows, I began to suspect at that point we would talk about a data center, and that's what it turned out to be.
Okay.
So what they'll do is compete for land for housing, which will potentially raise housing prices if we're not careful. And at the same time, farmers will have to compete with data centers when it comes to water for irrigation, especially in dry seasons, because data centers use up huge amounts of water in their cooling systems. In fact, in the past year alone, it's been said that AI consumed as much water globally as the entire bottled water industry. So, we use AI and things like it, these streaming tools all the time, but we also need to give thought to where all that material is being stored.
Indeed. Can we just touch on one more thing, which is facial recognition? Because towards the end of the year, we were talking about Thames Valley Police, for example, have introduced facial recognition now. Are we going to see more of this?
Yeah, we are. I mean, the Home Office introduced a study at the end of last year that is still ongoing, and it's looking at a new legal framework for police use on a wide scale with facial recognition and similar biometrics. And the goal, obviously, was to give police greater powers to use these tools at scale. Some people think in government and the police that facial recognition will be the biggest breakthrough in catching criminals since the introduction of DNA. But there are huge concerns, as you say. Plans are being considered for the use of live facial recognition in public spaces, possibly using mobile devices right across the country. It's a great opportunity for what we call technology creep, where a technology is introduced for one stated purpose, but later used for many other purposes that the public hasn't even condoned. And when it's married with AI, which it will be, facial recognition could provide the platform for something like preemptive policing, which sounds like something out of a Tom Cruise movie, but it's a real possibility where supposedly would-be criminals could be identified before any crime's been committed using facial signals. So big challenges. I think we have to ensure that technology promotes the common good, yes, but not at the expense of fundamental rights and liberties.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Mal. Can you just give me a quick yes, no? And I know this is very difficult for you to do, but can hoverboards in 2026, are we going to get them?
I doubt it. No.
Flying cars?
No.
No, there we go. It's not going to happen. Mal, happy New Year to you. Really good to talk to you this morning.
And you, Rich. Thanks for having me.
As Mal Fletcher. And